Your wife won't leave you after doing this one thing. Now look, I know that is a huge claim, and a rational and smart man like yourself should be skeptical if you are. However, this video is not about learning how to communicate with her the right way, mastering each other's emotions, rebuilding trust, or even taking the masculine lead to make her happy. Now yes, those 4 pillars are necessary skills you must master to have a thriving and happy marriage. It goes much deeper. The skill you're going to learn today is a forgotten skill that serves as a foundation underneath each of those 4 pillars I just mentioned. So without it, everything else will just completely collapse. And after working with over 1,500 men in the last year alone to save their marriage, no matter what the issue was, on the surface, her asking for space, there's a lack of love, attraction, trust, or even another man, deep underneath it all, led back to this one inability a man had with his wife. And a man who fails to even understand and master this skill will go from relationship to relationship, blind to the truths of her inner world, lost in a chasm of regret, searching in vain for the confines of emotional relief and ethereal connection, albeit to one day look back on his journey with one emotion: despair. But you, as a man who is brave enough to search for truth, comes across inevitable obstacles for warriors to defeat and dismantle, to tribulate and tussle with the vicissitudes of isolation, masquerading as evil incarnate. Okay, look, in all seriousness, you have to learn this or you'll end up alone. So today, I'm going to go into depth into this one skill and back it with science, powerful metaphor, and a story about a man who completely transformed his marriage when he grasped this one skill and harnessed it for good. So let's jump in. And at the very end of this video, as a bonus, I will give you a script word for word as an example of what to say to your wife when she won't stop pushing for the divorce. And it serves as this one skill. So now let's jump in. Now Todd is a lot like you. He grew up with a father that was around, but not really around. He was an alcoholic, and his mother was the one that really raised him. And what that taught him is that when you're raised by only your mother and your father isn't an influence in your life, you kind of fall into the feminine archetype, always wanting to please a woman. Now, Todd did what he thought he was supposed to do. He even told me on a call one day, he said, "Josh, I know I'm a good man, but I don't always know how to act like one." And over the years, what happened is that he tried his hardest. He climbed up the ranks to become the top firefighter chief executive, right? The chief into the station. And he did well. He had 3 kids with his wife, but finally that one day, the wife sat him down and said, after a short little spat, he didn't see it coming, but she goes, "Look, Todd, you are an amazing father, and you honestly are one of my best friends, but I don't feel it anymore. I don't have this attraction toward you. I'm confused. I just don't know what I want, and I need some space." Todd was sent reeling. He didn't get it. He was like, "What do I have to do? Like I'm a good man, and I'm a good friend, and I'm doing all these things that you say you want, but you're just not feeling it for me. I don't understand." It caused him to go into panic, right? You can hear it in my voice. I'm reflecting how he was doing this, and he went on that inward journey to find out what it really was, because even all of his female friends and their family friends said, "Todd, your wife is going crazy. Like, it's her problem." Now, if Todd listened to that voice and putting all the excuses outside of himself for why this was actually happening, he wouldn't have had that inward reflection to search for answers. But he did. And what he found out was, despite all the logical reasons of why a woman should be with a man, there was something he was missing. If he had to look at himself in the mirror, he wasn't the man that he used to be. He was providing his wife with something that created this attraction in her, if he was going to be completely honest. And that's what sent him on a path to start working with me. Now I'm going to expand on what I told Todd and help him really get his wife back in his arms again, more sexual connection, more intimacy, just more emotional connection on a deeper level than he's ever had it. But it all started with the premise that that foundational skill is called personal prestige. Every wife has this conversation of saying, "I'm no longer in love with you. I don't have the passion, the attraction is not there," in shades of gray. Let me translate exactly what she's really saying. "You are not the man anymore that I once fell for. You used to be someone who was passionate about life and were striving for more. You sacrificed your happiness to be a good husband, but what I needed more from you was to be a good lover first." Now look, there are core tenets or truths about romantic relationships, about her needs, and I did my thesis in grad school on a meta-analysis of short-term mating factors for college-age females. Now you can see where my mind was at. I was horrible with women years ago. Couldn't look at a girl in the eyes for longer than 5 seconds without being shy. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story at the very end of this video if you want to stick around for that. But what I found in hundreds and hundreds of articles and then experiencing this stuff and teaching other men was that women essentially look for 2 types of men. Now this has been watered down in the freaking internet nowadays to say alpha, beta. It's not that. It's the protector and the provider. Now the provider isn't just financial resources. You're good at doing that for sure. What she needs providing for in long-term traits are emotional stability, feeling safe, commitment, trust, all those things. But this skill, the short-term provider, is where no one, your father didn't teach you this, school didn't teach you this, no one teaches this. And I found through my studies that you have to embody these traits or she'll just have this lack of a feeling of wanting to be with you. And to be super reductionistic here, a woman will stay with a man based on how you make her feel. And if you don't meet these needs, she will leave you for another guy. That simple. By the way, if you want me to go into depth about that study, my whole thesis, leave a comment down below and I'll make a video on it. One study saw that we proposed that women's increased status in society can have detrimental consequences for the relationship experience once they have surpassed their male partner in status. Now going back to the story of Todd, I'm gonna bring this full circle for you. He was making more money, but that is not the only trait that originally attracted his wife, right? He was doing things that his wife saw him having higher prestige, having ambition, going towards fear, doing things that are making yourself a better man. Being more high status is what creates his short-term providing traits. And as soon as she passed him in status and prestige, she lost the attraction. Let me expand further in this article. However, women who surpass their partner in status and thus violate prescriptive stereotypes face negative outcomes. When thinking about their role as providers, female breadwinners reported feelings of worry, guilt, and pressure. Couples in relationships where women earn more than 50% of the total household indicate lower satisfaction with their marriage. Now, the study does have a limitation that it just focuses on a lot of financial value, but a lot of people don't understand that there's so many other factors other than financial that where you bring value to the relationship, okay? They just assess the overall financial bringing of value, but there are other domains that I have discussed on this channel and will continue to. Another study shows that the individual sample of higher relative dominance to be more dominant than your partner was positively correlated with self-rated relationship quality. Thus, evaluating the partner as being less forceful and aggressive than oneself seems somewhat beneficial for an actor's relationship happiness. What this is essentially saying, specifically with the men, if you are more dominant in the relationship, if you are the one that is less reactive, taking the masculine leadership role, she will supplicate to you, being her feminine, and want to be with you, because that's what her biological imperative is. Now look, I want to give you a practical guide. This is all the concept that you understand personal prestige, what high status is. Now let's go more into how to achieve it. Now this is going to be like a homework exercise if I was to work with you. There are, let's see, 33 traits here I'm going to read off. I want you to pause and say yes or no to each trait, give yourself a point or not, and tally how many of the 33 you have. You ready? Do you energetically put energy around her? Do you take responsibility for her well-being? Do you create a safe, supportive environment and don't expect her to grow when she isn't supported? Do you create security for her? Do you give her resources other than financial? Do you create improvement for her without her asking? Do you take charge and the lead? Are you available when she needs? Do you take initiative? Are you active instead of passive? Do you protect and defend her physically and emotionally? Do you do things like open the doors, pick her up in the car, pour water in her glass, and take her on when walking the street? Do you reassure her constantly? Do you remember important dates and make her feel special? Do you attune to mental and emotional states so you know what's right to do? Do you do things to take pressure off of her without her asking? Do you organize dates in your full control? Do you take charge of logistics? Do you take it upon yourself to repair the relationship when it's hurt? Do you make an effort to meet her needs? Do you help find ways to meet her needs outside of yourself? Are you making sure that you're physically with her when she's not okay? Do you make sure she's not in dangerous situations? Do you give your full undivided attention to her? Do you honestly speak your mind and listen to her? Do you show commitment to her? Do you focus on giving her pleasure? Do you make decisions for her? Do you take responsibility for your decisions and actions? Do you figure out what she needs and you get it done yourself? Do you take initiative to heal your own crap? Do you put positive boundaries around her? Do you help her face parts of herself that are resistant to being contained instead of stopping to support her? If you don't get at least 66% of those correct that you do consistently with her, then that explains a lot of the reason why she's been pulling away. Now, the question maybe is like, Josh, how do I remember all those details? Like, how do I keep that in frame of mind? The frame of mind here is about positive ownership, okay? This is something Teal Swan talks about if you want to look her up. And this is where I really got a lot of these from. The idea of positive ownership is that when you are taking the role play that you are her protector and her provider, creating this apex male, that framework allows you to auto-correct all the negative behaviors you have and in place the positive ones. Okay, you have different roles in life and you don't have to think about a lot of the things you do, let's say in the workplace. When you step into your role, whether it's an employee or employer, you don't think in terms of, okay, what do I say here? What do I do? Because over time you've adopted that a boss does these things or a good employee does these things because you know the best practices. When you understand the best practices of this positive ownership, it allows you to meet her needs at all times without even thinking about it. Okay, I promised you that I would share with you word per word what to say to a woman when she, or your wife, excuse me, when she wants divorce. Now I got this from the Facebook group. This is why the community is so good in our program, is that guys are sharing their wins and exactly what they say word per word. So this is his response to when his wife said, I want the divorce, okay? Now this is coming from that personal prestige answer. Now, when you say this, it has to be done with the most self-assertiveness, confidence, and clarity. You've said you feel certain that the divorce is the best option moving forward. I feel equally certain that leaning in and giving it everything I've got and then some really is the best. And I can only function within my half of our marriage. In order for us to both honor each other's feelings, I have to embrace being okay with you choosing to walk away, while you allow me the freedom to navigate my half of our marriage. According to you, I've already lost you. So if that really is true, the way I see it is, I have literally nothing left to lose. And that being said, I choose to go all in and to fight for the best fight for our marriage that I possibly can. You deserve that, and our children deserve an example of a father who would do that for their mother. You are free in every way to choose what you feel is best for you. You have my love and my support, and those will never change. That being said, I choose to remain immovable in defending our marriage within the half that I still represent. You are entirely and completely free to file on your own. You are fiercely independent, wise, and capable. And I know if you choose it, you really felt it was the best option available to you. You're the only one that can walk through that door for you. Only you can choose what is genuinely best for you. I choose to stay the course that I have set out for myself with the work I have ahead of me. And I invite you to take time and space while I support you from a distance. I am always here for you. I cannot be an equal partner in what you ultimately end up choosing for you within your half of our marriage. I choose to lead, and I invite you to observe at a distance the changes I'm making in my half of our marriage and the relationship. In the same way that you want freedom to leave, I want the freedom to fight for you in the way you truly deserve. You deserve an unshakable man, no matter where the shaking is coming from. Right now, your shaking is largely the result of my doings and my undoings. Your sadness is the product of my absence, and I'm so sorry. I'm doing everything I can to be present, to listen, and to hold space for all of your feelings. I will never leave or abandon you, no matter what. Divorce doesn't align with my half of our marriage. That rests on my shoulders. Even if there's only a tiny shred of a possibility of reconciliation for us, I feel that's more than enough and is more than worth fighting for. Now, if that resonates with you and you need help speaking to your wife with all the right tools and to create this personal prestige in yourself, then go ahead and set up a call with our team down below by clicking the link. Make sure you're fully committed to saving your marriage and taking responsibility for your side of things and how it got to where it is now. If that is you and you want to become a better man, and this is the opportunity for you, I'll see you on the other side. Otherwise, you can watch this video right here on winning your wife back by yourself. I will see you in the next video.